Hello, everybody. This is Amanda LOS, your quicker waker upper. You are tuned in to Inalienable Sovereignty Conversations for Elevation. And it is my pleasure to welcome back Michelle Melendez. Thank you for
Aloha,
being here.
everyone.
Aloha.
Aloha. Mahalo for having me again.
From the Big Island. Could you share a little bit with our audience about you, who you are, what you do, and also what does inalienable sovereignty mean to you?
Oh, wonderful. I'm Michelle Melendez. I'm the author of the book End Dieting Hell: How to Find Peace in Your Body and Release the Weight. And it's an award-winning book. You can get it on Amazon, End Dieting Hell. I also founded Blossom Inner Wellness, which is an online program or online platform to support people with living in a body they love, exercise, and just also some understanding emotional trauma and how to integrate emotional trauma so they can find peace. And I've been a fitness and wellness professional since 1996.
Nice. That's beautiful. And inalienable sovereignty, I know that you're
Mm.
a champion of it. And what does that mean for you?
It means that it goes God, people, government. God has given us this one thing that no one can take from us, and that's called free will. And it's our free will to do the things that we choose to do in this lifetime. And as long as you're not hurting other people, hurting yourself, hurting other people, um, you can do whatever it is you want to do. These restrictions and rules that the government, which is under the people, has put us through is so illegal, and it goes absolutely against God in so many ways and against the people that they serve. The government serves the people. So that is
Supposed to.
what is supposed to, is
Supposed to.
supposed to. That is actually what their role is. The structures of government are supposed to support and serve the people, which they have forgotten. And it's not that they have forgotten. I think it's that they've been hijacked from by certain entities that do not serve God in any way, shape, or form, or the people. And that's shifting and that's changing.
Opila, thank goodness.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's interesting as you were saying that. I've been initiated in Mayan shamanism and been able to sit in a lot of ceremonies and learn from a lot of indigenous teachers. And I just specifically like the Mayan, they have this thing called the cosmovision and the higher laws, which are what you're talking about. It's like these spiritual contracts that we have as humans in this third dimensional reality, engaging with the multiverse, and that there are these higher laws that indigenous people follow, which means not
Hmm.
not kowtowing, for lack of a
Hmm.
better word, to anything else. And money, unfortunately, this weird thing, money, and whoever has the most of it, aligned with power, uh,
Hmm.
power based in money, seems to be what's running the show. And it can be very scary for people to tune in to what is spirit guiding me to do versus what does the mainstream media, mainstream government, that's really actually controlled by money, big pharma,
Yeah.
whoever has the most money, gets to kind of dictate what we're supposed to be doing. And I've been, one of those people that's not been able to follow rules that feel counter to what spirit's guiding me to do. And I know that's the same for you. And how has that played out in your life, and then how you've developed the work that you're doing in the world?
I will absolutely agree 100% with you. It's about money, and the thing is what people don't understand is that things like the food pyramid are bought. That they're not under. It's not about science.
Right.
Whoever thinks that people need to be drinking or should be drinking a beverage that creates a 2 to 3 ton animal called dairy, and they think that that's healthy for them, It's like that is a bot that the dairy industry paid to be on the food pyramid. It
Yep.
wasn't that science goes, oh, this is a great beverage and it really supports the human body. You know, that that's ludicrous to think, you know, this substance that's designed to take a little baby calf to go up to 2 to 3 ton animal is good for the human body. So if you are drinking dairy, I really highly recommend that you find an organic alternative to that for that, but also the other things like anyway, I could go totally into nutrition and all of that, but I won't. If you guys are interested in nutrition, check out my my website, blossominnerwellness.com. Um, but the other thing about that was that the big pharma, and I don't know if I can say that on this on your channel or not, but
Absolutely.
yeah, oh, cool. So they also, it's about it's all about money. Can you imagine? Like I'm here in Hawaii, and when I look outside, I see these birds flying, and I see we have hawks, we have goats, we have cows, and all of these animals, and they don't buy food. They're actually guided. Where's the next, you know, where's my next meal going to be? The honeybee being guided to the pollen. You know, where's the flower that I'm supposed to land on? You know, it's not even a thought. It's just a feeling. It's a feeling that they have. And so that's actually, why are we different? Why do we think that we're different? You know, before the Industrial Revolution, you know, people, they farmed, they got their food, and it was organic and it was real food. Now we have food that's synthetic, processed with all of these fillers. My friend sent me these vitamins. He's like, Michelle, what do you think of these vitamins? I'm not going to say which one, but it's a very, very popular brand. And all there was so many to preserve freshness, to preserve freshness. And I'm like, well, that to preserve freshness is going to also preserve freshness in your body. You know, it's a something that your body goes, what is this? I don't know what this is. So a lot of times what happens is your body will take those substances that it doesn't know what they are, and they're fillers, they're colors, additives, all this stuff, and your body goes, I don't know what this is. So it'll either do two things. The liver will filter it, hopefully, but if the liver gets to overtaxed, which normally it does because of all of the processed everything that people are eating, it'll wrap fat around the toxin. So people who are like pregnant men that look really big and have and you push on their belly and it's hard, that's actually, that could be, because I'm not a doctor, but toxins that are wrapped around fat,
Mm.
that the fat is wrapped around so that the body, it doesn't get into the organs. So that's what that is. That's why I'm a huge fan of detoxing. You know,
Yeah.
I take activated charcoal almost every day, and detox with foot pads and different things like that, and take people through detoxes, because you can't really get away from all the toxins that are in our food and even in the water.
Yeah.
You know, the tap water. People are drinking tap water that has been that has chemicals in it to take out the parasites and take out the different things, but they're actually adding in aluminum and different toxins that the body goes, whoa, that's not good for me either.
Yeah.
So you may be thinking, you know, that's why I was always telling my mom and different family members, get a filter
Yeah.
on your tap water that filters out chlorine and different things of the chemicals that are in the tap water that are supposed to keep, fluoride is another thing.
Yeah.
Fluoride actually calcifies your pineal gland. Your pineal gland what is your pineal gland for? It's your intuition. And that's actually what where we're headed right now. That's actually the higher frequencies of where we're going, is to open up our
Yeah.
intuition. And so what
Absolutely.
happens if your pineal gland's calcified? It's no wonder why people are always in their head and always trying to think, because they can't feel what they need
Mm-hmm.
to feel, what's up
Mm-hmm.
next for them.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
just, yeah.
There's been so much to disconnect us from our super senses, which are, I believe, are all of our, if you go back far enough, our ancestors had access to. We've been programmed out of it with language and everything. But, I'll say I've had a journey with nutrition and health as well. And I know that when I do a fast, when I'm clean and in a clean state and even like not much food in my body, I think much more clearly. So fasting is really great. And when you have funk and junk in your system, it really impacts moods.
Oh my gosh.
I was going through
Yes.
I had been to Peru for a dieta and was trying to stay. I wasn't as aware of nutrition at the time. This was a long, long time ago. And I got food poisoning. And I didn't do a parasitic cleanse or anything. And I had brought back a bunch of things, bacteria, viruses, parasites. And over time, my health just started going down, but also I became a different person. I was irritable, no patience. I was turning into a bitch. And I'm like,
Yeah.
why? Like, what's happening with my personality? And it wasn't until I found an integrative medicine doctor who helped me to cleanse all that stuff in a natural way. And all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, I'm me again. And
Yeah.
same thing with like sugar and candida in the system. Like it is such a hijacker of mental processes and
Hmm.
moods. And I'd love for you to share because for me, I like plant medicine is still illegal in a lot of places. Thank goodness in California the regulations are opening up, and as a 501c3 we have special privilege with medicines. But I'm like, sugar is the biggest. It's so addictive. It really shifts mental capacity
Hmm.
in a negative way: irritability,
Yeah.
impatience, lack of focus, jitteriness, nervous system. I feel like I'm like constant anxiety with sugar in
Yeah.
my system, but it's so cheap, right? It's so cheap and addictive that it gets
Yes.
put into so much so that we'll continue to buy more of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the thing is that sugar um, triggers the part of your brain that causes addiction. And they've actually done a scan on the brain and they see that sugar lights up the same area of your brain that cocaine does.
Yeah.
So it is
Crazy.
absolutely addicting, and it affects your body in so many negative ways, from your eyesight to wrinkles. It's crazy how, in fact, Dr. Mercola, who I love to death and who's been censored like mad, had a whole sheet of 77 different ways negative sugar negatively affects your body. And I can't find it anymore. And I wish I would have created a PDF out of it but I just had the link. But also the other thing too, with all this food, okay, your gut is called your second brain for a reason. It's like people always say, what does your gut tell you? It's because your gut actually it has, well, the first thing about your gut is has 80% of your immune system lives in your gut
Yeah.
because it's taking out, it's digesting different foods, and there's a reason for it doing that. But also a lot of your serotonin, which is your good happy feelings, lives in your gut.
Yeah.
So that's why if you're eating a lot of stuff that's processed, a lot of fast food, a lot of sugar, things like that, and I want to talk about high fructose corn syrup as well.
Oh yeah.
um, what happens is you're compromising your health of your gut. And so what then that's going to affect your mood, it's going to affect your sleep, it's going to affect your immune system. um, this is where leaky
Hormones,
gut
right?
comes from, hormones. Yeah, a whole thing about hormones. High fructose corn syrup is cheap than sugar, tastes sweeter than sugar, and it actually turns off a hormone called leptin. Leptin tells your body, it tells your brain, hey, I'm no longer hungry. No longer hungry, you can stop eating. So if that's turned off, you're going to totally overeat. This is why someone can drink a 32-ounce soda, big gulp, soda, and not a 32-ounce glass of water. It's because a 32-ounce soda has high fructose corn syrup in it, which turns off the signal that you're no longer hungry. Or
Wow.
you can eat a whole bag of Oreos, but you can't do it with healthy food. It's
It's
because of high
crazy.
fructose corn syrup. It'll
Dang.
turn off that signal and you're going to overeat. And not only so it turns off the signal that you're no longer hungry, and it's affecting the part of your brain that's addicted
Yeah.
to the food.
And it's
and this is
totally
another,
socially acceptable
oh my gosh, yes, absolutely.
in school and with
Oh,
kids. Like my partner has 11 and 7-year-old, and they have these little projects that they have to do every week. And sometimes there's competitions like science stuff, and their rewards are almost, they're always some kind of junk food like Pringles, uh, what was it, Peeps, which is like,
I don't even know what that
like
is. Oh, wait a minute, those little orange, those little peeper things
they come
for
in all
Easter.
kinds of colors and flavors
Oh
now,
my
but it's basically
goodness.
sugar. And it's like,
That's a
wow,
chemical
that
factory.
that blows my mind. That blows my
Hmm.
mind. And it's hard, like it's so hard to say to people because it is socially acceptable to indulge like that.
And I think what and my part of my mission is, and I've been really um, focused and working on how to do this in an aloha way, is how do we talk to people who, who are on the other side of the fence thinking about, oh, this is a good idea, and how can we do that with aloha and with kindness, and
Oh,
because we are connected to, our mission right now is to stay in peace, harmony, and unity, that
yeah.
we're all one and that we're not, all fighting against each other. It's like, one of my friends said it in a really good way, because he was talking about the masks, and I have a whole PDF about the breaking the mask spell. Because if you're wearing a mask constantly, it's going to affect your teeth, uh, breath, gum disease, tooth decay, nasal passages, but also for children, it affects them emotionally. And I have a friend who's a speech pathologist. I can't remember how to say that, but which is funny in itself. But she says a lot of children who are just learning language and they're wearing a mask, it's really affecting how they speak.
Yeah.
So, and not only that, but also emotionally, I don't want to be seen. It's, I can't be seen. My face, it's not safe for people to see my face. And a little child being programmed that way is going to affect them for their entire life, with their self-confidence, with their ability to speak up for themselves. And so many things are happening with that. But what he did was, he was like, I was like, how can we bring this flyer to people without them getting mad at us, and or how can we do this with aloha? And he said, you know what I did? He's like, I said, have you heard about the new science? So it was like this, oh, have you heard about the new science? Here, here, check this
Questions.
out. And it's a
Questions are
flyer.
so great.
Questions, yes.
Yeah, curiosity. I love that. Like we really encourage people to come to our gatherings to be curious about everything, and we've attracted people all different kinds of politics, all atheists to super woo-woo Pleiadian,
Nice.
multidimensional beings and everything in between, and coming together in that place of choosing to be curious and kind and respectful, even if you don't end up changing your mind, to learn how to
Hmm.
coexist. And what you were sharing about, how do you help to educate people, especially around things like eating, because everybody has to, and food addiction, especially to things that are really harmful. It really triggers people. Like even when I've
Yeah.
been eating healthy myself and I show up with my own food, and people are like, how can you eat like that? And then you can tell it's really like almost causing anxiety for them to watch me eat something different, or I'm fasting today. And a friend of mine is a raw wasn't doing raw food cleanses and raw food chef certifications, and she makes a lot of amazing raw desserts, that have no sugar, that, gluten-free, macrobiotic. And I like to do that too, just like show up like, here's a cheesecake that, that's like maybe not, it's got a lot of fat and, maybe some fruit sugar, but all things considered, it's a beautiful alternative. People are like, oh, wow, this is really good. So,
Yeah.
like I think a lot of times it's a matter of I would do it differently, but I can't even imagine most people when they lay like you don't do gluten, you don't do dairy, you don't do processed sugar, you don't do this, you don't do that. Like what is there to eat? And
Yeah,
like I get it, like it seems like there is nothing, but if you actually know and have some recipes, like it's actually quick and easy and amazing and you feel great. And over time, your body starts to crave that instead of
yeah.
junk, right?
That's why detoxing is really important, because if you don't detox, your body will trigger sugar addiction, because that's what it's programmed to. And also I feel like people who are triggered by watching you eat, because something inside of them knows that that's the better way, and that's in and the addiction toward the way that they're eating is really strong. And they and yeah, there's a lot more I could say about that, but what I want to focus on is that if people want to know how to release it, it's through detoxing. It's through detoxing two of the most important organs in your body, your liver and your colon. So detoxing those two organs is going to help you tremendously. It'll help you sleep better, have more energy, more clarity, not be addicted to the sugar. In fact, I have a friend of mine who brought over some cookies, and it was so funny because I like didn't want them at all. and and that felt, for me, it felt really good. I was like, wow. But I also have been in a place in my life where I was like, oh my gosh, yes, chocolate chip cookies. And so it was such a different feeling. It was like freedom, peace in my body, versus this pull. And it's literally a pull because your body is addicted to that substance, to that sugar, of where it connects to the brain and how it makes your body feel.
Yeah.
But like you just said, when you detox, you cleanse first. That's what's going to help just get rid of the cravings, is the cleansing. So
Yeah.
you can't just go and start going, oh, I'm going to eat better today. You
Yeah.
actually need to cleanse your system from that addiction.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to sabotage. You're going to sabotage.
And it's important to do it in a good way because sometimes cleanses can be harmful. And maybe you could share just a little bit with people who are like,
Yeah,
okay, I'm going to do it. I'm just going to go cleanse. Like, there are helpful ways and harmful
yeah.
ways to do that, right?
Absolutely. And what I would recommend, one of the things, like, and I said earlier, was activated charcoal is it's a really great way to start. And you can take it up to 6 times a day. You want to take it an hour before a meal and 2 hours before medication. And what it does is actually pulls heavy metals, parasites, and it starts to pull different things out of your system.
Mm.
And I love to take it right before bed or first thing in the morning, and then wait an hour before breakfast. And so that's a great way to naturally start. In fact, we actually had a duck or goose at the last farm that I lived at, get into some medication that somebody threw away, and she was not doing good. Like, her head, she couldn't lift her head up. She was wobbling. She was not doing good. We forced activated charcoal down her throat, and within hours she started doing better. And within like a
Mm.
couple days she was back to normal. So she
Beautiful.
would have died. She would have absolutely died.
Activated
So it
charcoal.
activated
Mhm.
charcoal, organic activated charcoal, no fillers. It should have no fillers or anything else, but just activated charcoal. And it's something that if somebody gets poisoned or is not feeling good, it's actually even good for hangovers. The night before you go out, if you're drinking, you can have it before you go to bed. You will not get a hangover in the
Nice.
morning, because it pulls out the toxins from your body.
Beautiful.
So that's an easy way to start your detox.
Beautiful. That's so helpful to know.
Yeah.
Another thing that I've recommended for people is to just titrate, like do a slow shift. So
Hmm.
like with coffee, like start going into like add a little bit of decaf and then a little bit more decaf and a little bit more, like just, it doesn't have to be all at once. I'm often
Yeah.
a like all at once person, but like I'm just gonna do it, and sometimes that's the way to do it. But for people who feel really intimidated by a big change like that, just add in one thing at a time, because one thing at a time, let it become a habit, right? I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know how do you support people in, because what we're talking about, it really is sovereignty, because your body is your temple for your spirit. what you
Yeah.
take in impacts how you feel, how you think, how you show up in the world, how much energy you have. And those addictions and really awful habits that are addictive, that's the opposite of sovereignty. So how do you support people in reclaiming their health, loving their body, and having sovereignty over that?
Well, again, first thing is I do a 6-week detox with them, and in with that, there's also meditations, and I also teach people around the fact that you need to understand your body is a memory house of everything you've ever experienced in your entire life. It still holds the frequencies of the things you've gone through,
Mhm.
and everything your relationships with your family, with your friends, who you think you are in the world is not who you are. It's just a programming from all of the experiences and relationships you've had in past. And so what happens is this is how people know when they see their mom or their dad, they know how to be. The feeling of who they are with that person. This is also why heartaches when you break up with somebody are so challenging, because the frequency of who you are with that person, you get used to that frequency and
Yeah.
that energy with that other being. And so when that person's not there, the frequency is not there. And it's like, oh man, not
Mm.
only, does the heart go, oh, I miss that person, but the body, the cells of the body go, oh my gosh, the frequency that I'm used to having isn't
Mhm.
here. That's
I
why
love
people
that
get,
insight.
they're arguing all the time. That's actually an emotional frequency that
Oh,
they're
yeah.
addicted to.
Yeah,
So
it's a
somebody
chemical
starts to
hit.
fight.
It's a
Yeah, yeah,
chemical surge for sure, even if it's
exactly.
painful. Yeah,
Yeah,
I feel like we could just go on for days and days and days about this. Because I'm real passionate about, I know you are too, and I just want to reflect. I think it's so important. There's so many people out there concerned with their weight,
yeah,
especially women, and trying to fit into a particular box. It used to be a struggle for me as well. And I really love your approach is about really loving yourself, loving your
yeah.
body, and shifting how you approach and treat yourself, which is the foundation of then shifting these other things. And if you want to share a little bit more about that, as well
Yeah.
as how people who are interested in their own sovereignty and better health and loving their body temples, how do they stay connected with you, and what can they experience with you?
Awesome. Well, the first thing is I have a book, End Dieting Hell, and it's on Amazon. You can get the book. It actually goes through everything we just talked about and more. And the thing is we have been programmed through media, through movies, magazines, everything to believe a certain way is beautiful. And if you don't fit that mold, there's something wrong with you and there's something to fix about yourself. There's nothing to fix about yourself. and
Mhm.
and when people go, oh yeah, but this and that and this and that, well, you can, you know opt to change something, but still there's nothing to fix. It's like inside of your heart of how you feel about this vessel, which is just a car
Mhm.
for your soul.
Yeah.
That's all this is. It's a car for your soul to have a human experience. So the first thing I do is talk to, because my specialty is around living in a body you love, that women who struggle with their weight are actually emotionally conditioned to the feeling, and the feeling and frequency are both the same thing, to the feeling of struggling with their weight. It feels normal for them to struggle with their weight. So what happens is they'll release weight, they'll go on a diet or exercise program, they'll release it, but that doesn't feel normal to them. So they'll sabotage themselves every single time to go
Mm.
back to the normal frequency of I struggle with my weight. And I did a retreat once, and I had a woman come over, and she was really mad at me because she said, Michelle, what do you mean I'm not someone who struggles with their weight? I've been struggling with my weight all my life. I said, yes, because you're addicted. Your body chemically is addicted. The cells of your body are conditioned and addicted to the feeling of struggling with your weight. So you're not someone who struggles with their weight. You're someone who's addicted to the feeling of struggling with your weight. And that's why you sabotage yourself every single time. So the book is one of the first places I'd go, End Dieting Hell, on Amazon. Then on blossominnerwellness.com, BLOSSOM is Blossom Inner, INNER, and then wellness, WELLNESS.com. you'll get that you can sign up for a 3-video series on how to find peace and self-confidence. And it's something I filmed at the Peace Garden, which is and on the other side of the Big Island, called Poliaku Peace Garden. So I filmed it there, and it's a 3-part series that gives you tips and more insights on this work of understanding that you're a frequency field, you're a frequency being, you're a light frequency, and we walk through a field of frequency. This is not empty space. This is as a quantum field of frequency that connects to my frequency. And anytime I walk into a room, anytime you walk into a room, you are changing the frequency. And just by who you be in the world changes the frequency for everybody. We're on a grid. This geometric shape of this empty space is actually the flower of life, which is interconnected circles on top of each other that go throughout the entire galaxy, the entire universe. This is why Einstein, I think, called it spooky field theory or some spooky something, because what would happen is they would actually they would take an atom, and they would actually, not an atom, it was another particle, but they kind of took it apart, and they put one particle on way far away. We're talking like 14 miles or something crazy. And they did something to this particle, the other particle would feel it instantaneously, and
Yeah.
it would do the exact same, it would react the exact same way, because it's a field that we are totally connected to everything.
Yeah.
So understanding that and walking through that and practicing that. And I'm not perfect around this by no means, but I do practice one of the highest frequencies that you could have, which is gratitude. I
Hmm.
practice gratitude every day. When it's first thing I wake up in the morning, I say things I'm grateful for. When I go to bed, I say things I'm grateful for. And feeling into that frequency really has shifted. And also, the last thing I want to share is that right now, all of our intuitions, we have the power to really create an amazing world together. The other day I woke up, I was in a deep sleep, and I started lucid dreaming, and I saw a stopwatch. I saw a timer actually, and it said 5, 4, 3, 2. And when it hit 1, my alarm went off.
Ah.
And this was in my brain. I was like, what just happened? And it was just a reminder, the frequency field we can create, and we know it. We have the power to feel into what it is our dreams are, and then let ourselves be guided to creating that. And
Hmm.
that's where we're headed.
So beautiful. It is so, I mean, I'm preaching to the choir, but just want to reflect. It is so valuable to love the body that you're in, to love it up. I know that multiple people have said, and based on the work that I do, with the subconscious, like your body is your subconscious, and it's signaling us all the time, and the body doesn't lie. And having a beautiful relationship with the body where we're listening to it and we're honoring it is a total game changer, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. So much becomes available. And so good choosing to access sovereignty through the doorway of loving up the body temple is just priceless. So for those of you out there who are curious about this, who've struggled with body image issues, with eating, with whatever, I highly recommend connecting with Michelle. Her book sounds amazing. And I know that she approaches things from a very holistic, loving, generous approach that feels very aligned. So I encourage you all to blossominnerwellness.com to check her out, check out her book. And thank you so much, Michelle, for being with us and sharing your wisdom. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to Inalienable Sovereignty. We'll be here next week. Until we get to connect again, may the source be
Yes.
with you.
Aloha, everyone. Much mahalo for having
Aloha.
me.
Oh.